Everybody, good morning, good morning. Man, we are starting to see gold dump. Huge pullbacks since Friday. Since Friday, we got that massive daily, and price has just been coming down. Coming down here today as well, so might be getting a change of direction. We might be seeing the bull run come to a close until further notice. Back to what? Back down to 2K? No way. Ain't no way, no how. $2,000. Holy. Yeah, go Bitcoin back to the 20K. Bitcoin's coming down. I think Bitcoin is it's during that time again. It's we're approaching that cycle when the winter comes, and and then price goes down. Let's see, guys, here in the chat. Oh, Mr. Rashid, all the way in Japan now. How'd you end up in Japan? Very nice. Lol, so weird. London open at 4 p.m. Well, that is quite weird. Towards the end of the day. I guess it's like an advantage maybe for some people that it opens so late. Ooh. Yeah, I was kind of waiting for a sell. But to see a sell, we need price to come down. I wanted to see price at least come down below like 42.29. And then start looking for a sell. But yeah, it doesn't seem like that's happening. I'm with my friend. He's a pilot. So we flew for the weekend to Tokyo, back tomorrow. Oh, that's so sick. Man, that's the reason why I wanted to get my private pilot's license, is to be able to do such a thing, Just to rent out a small little Cessna for the weekend. Just pay the fuel. You don't even rent the plane per se. What I was told at flight school is you pretty much just pay for the fuel. Right? You just pay for the fuel and you can take the plane. You can split it as well with a buddy. Wow, yeah, you're in the cockpit. It's quite funny. On the ship, we call it the poop deck. On a plane, we call it the cockpit. Who comes up with these names? Aye, Captain. Price is moving up here. Watched a Netflix movie yesterday. It was a pretty good movie. It's called The Woman in Cabin 10. The Woman in Cabin 10. This movie here on Netflix. What is it called? The Woman in Cabin 10. It made me realize how much I need a super yacht. You don't know until you actually see these things. You realize, damn, I need me one of these super yachts. There are no like nice pictures of this thing. Such a freaking James Bond way of living. Yeah, this beautiful freaking yacht over here. This from the movie. Man, but let me tell you something. Nobody who owns these things are paying with earned income. That's one thing that I know. People who earn these things, they're not, like funded, and they're not like earning from earned income. This has to be passive income. There's no way you're gonna be able to sustain this thing, because just like maintaining it alone is freaking expensive. Only a couple boats here. You need the main boat, and then you need a smaller boat, because this thing can't get close to land. The bigger it is, the harder it is to get closer to land. This would be sick though. Watch this movie, gang. It was pretty surprisingly good. I don't like Netflix movies, but The Woman in Cabin 10, pretty decent. All right, we see prices moving up here. Yeah, prices moving up here. Looks like the daily just reflipped back bullish. Let's see, we got a chart coming in. You've got mail. Oh, nice little breakout to the upside. What do we get here? Just had this. Oh, yeah, I've seen this as well. The only thing for me is just like the fact that we're coming down so heavily. So for me, the felt a bit risky. But yeah, I could see like those are some kind of a breakout here. Kind of a risky one, especially getting in like this. But I just got like a small little ripple effect. Got a support here, and then it's like ripple, ripple, and then breaks. It looked kind of cleaner by the time it was creating this structure here to break that high instead. Get a break of that high and then continue to move up. Give me a decade and I'll go halves with you on a yacht, Vic. Yeah, we gotta like go half and half on that. Alright, chat. Well, leave in the chat. Would you guys rather have a super yacht and you can, you know, yacht anywhere you want, or would you have a private plane, like a Gulfstream or something nice, you know, like a private jet, super yacht or private jet, guys? What are we talking about? A yacht would take you longer to get to places, obviously, but it's luxury. What are you guys saying? Super yacht or jet? Why not both? You gotta pick one. You only can pick one for the rest of your life. You're only gonna have one of those two things. Either a private jet or a super yacht. Jet. You know, it's quite a dilemma because people who have flown private, they will never fly commercial again. You know, they don't want to ever fly commercial again. You know how Oprah started flying private? One time a fan came up to an airport and asked her for a picture. And after that, she was like, damn, I gotta start flying private. You know, once you fly private, a whole different experience. You're never gonna want to fly commercial again. So it is quite a dilemma. But a yacht is nice. You know, you can take your time on a yacht. You can enjoy the day on a yacht. Plane will save you a lot of time. You can be a time traveler with a jet. You know, you can just travel different countries, basically like time traveling. Alright, so we got like kind of 50-50 here in the chat. Got a dream. It's good to dream. The people who say it, they speak it into the universe, they're the ones who are most likely going to achieve it because they're not afraid to, speak that out. You can't be afraid to speak things out. Even if the idea seems about grandiose, you know, you got to be comfortable to say it. Because no one's going to say it for you. So you got to say it. You got to put it out there. But anyway, let's see here. We got a price up 0.20%. Maybe we get to take a buy if it starts to pick up a bit more pace. Right now we got like, you know, kind of like a support being formed here soon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullish candlesticks on the previous bull run. One resistance. Let's see a 4 hour. 4 hour looks pretty good. If we can get above like this 4 hour resistance point here too. We got a 4 hour resistance. Here we got another resistance up over there. It's a pretty big range. We got on the 1 hour. 1 hour is accumulating orders over here. See a little bit of a sideways price action. Yeah, this is accumulating. It's getting ready for a breakout. I got the one down in that movement in the break before we got 20 pips. It was okay. I missed one move. There was another move that I wanted to catch as a sell, but I kind of hesitated. Where was it? It was up here. It was up here when candlestick had closed. Wait, what was I looking at? We'll go on the 5 minute. Boom, boom. Oh yeah, it was a shotgun play. Eh? Why can't I see it? It was like a shotgun play here. I thought my stop loss was above this candlestick. But I saw a candle first close. Boom. I think it was at the break of this low. by 42, 42, 42. That was the first entry that I missed. I just kind of hesitated because it was not like the most cleanest setup, but we got one shotgun closure. We got a break of the lows, and then I'm like, okay, if we re-break this candlestick low, most likely keep heading down. Because on that first shotgun play break, still a bit uncertain, you know. But I feel like this is... Or maybe because I was looking at my C trader, you know, I was looking at my C trader a lot. So I think that's why the structure looks a bit odd here on TradingView. But yeah, I think this would be the entry right here. Anyway, let's see. We're up now 0.20%. You miscalculated and got smacked $150. A lot of bullish pressure just came out of nowhere. It's filling up this range now. Say I came down, broke below support towards this next level. Now it's doing that. It's mirroring this side of the PA. Sorry, say I mirror this. Now it's mirroring this next side over here. You took this trade, you posted a short on YouTube? Yes. Yeah, that's exactly the one. Now we're up by resistance. Small little head and shoulders in here too. I got lucky also when I entered the trade and moved up 2 pips. Always happy for 3 pips. Nice one, nice one. You all survived Friday? Yeah, I think like people who took buys on Fridays got melted. I didn't take no trade on Friday. After stream, I called it a day. I had a pretty slow day after that. Protect my money. Get ready for a new week. It's a massive accumulation here. What's that? 4-hour resistance by 42.70. Like looking at potentially breaking 42.70. Huge range on the left hand side. It's just had a pullback, so you know, after a pullback like this in a bull run, you can imagine people looking for buys, thinking these are nice price points, kind of like the simulation we did yesterday. So we had that one key level. Actually my favorite trade was him yesterday. We had that one key level, like price broke below it, and then it gave us like a similar setup like this for that runner. Remember, it had some few rejection wicks too. So that's kind of like how it's gearing up there on the 4-hour. But there's no real direction, which is the odd thing about gold right now. We just got the new weekly open. Sure, it's bullish, but there's no direction. You know, we just came from being bearish to again being bullish. That daily is like flipping between buying and selling. So that's the thing I'm like a little bit cautious about, because it doesn't seem like we're respecting a 40%. Maybe we get close to like 40%, maybe like 30, 35, like we did here, and then it reverses. Since the Asia, we've also just been kind of ranging here, created that 4-hour resistance up over here, and then that's the kind of area we're in. So you're gonna look at this and you're gonna say to yourself, like, if we start to break above these highs, maybe that might happen during New York session. There should be like a lot of volume coming out of this distribution. Problem usually is the bigger the accumulation, the bigger the accumulation, the trickier it gets with the pullbacks. You know, because such a big zone is such a wide zone. It's like navigating that pullback is quite tricky. So hopefully it happens like at a key volume time, such as New York Open. Hey, what's up, Grandmaster? Grandmaster Mac. I had 3 trades at 0.01. But I really think I've never seen a $150 move on gold. Yeah, that was the biggest candlestick we've had since I don't even know when. We haven't had a daily that big hold of this year, maybe even the whole of last year. I know we kind of just got to look, but it's been a while for sure. Man, imagine people caught sell on Friday. You know that there was a one more distribution that played out when we left the stream. It broke the distribution to the downside. I think that was the only one that when we ended off stream here, I was like, I'm not gonna wait for this anymore. Oh, it came and retested. Off stream, like what time were we off? I think right here. This was a break from that accumulation. Let's see, you had your stop loss above here and held the drawdown. It already gave you quite a decent push already too. Now that small accumulation area over there, since then, it's a complete melt off. Yeah, but essentially we were looking for, remember guys, we were looking for buys on Friday above here. We had that inverted. We thought this would be like a good thing for push above. Price consolidated, then it did the opposite. Yeah, so let's see what the market has in store for us today. Gold gains. US-China talks in focus. Gold prices rose to 42.60 on Monday after a sharp decline on Friday, with investors closely monitoring upcoming talks between US and China. Meanwhile, the ongoing US government shutdown has stretched into another week with no clear end in sight, adding broader market uncertainty. Well, how long is this government shutdown going to be? Currently, markets are pricing a 25 basis point cut at the Federal Reserve October meeting and another in December. So far this year, the bullion has surged more than 60%, fueled by heightened economic and geopolitical uncertainty. Expectations of further US rate cuts, strong central buying, and ETF inflows. Alright, let me see what we got here. Oh, it's in 9 days. 9 days, 10 hours, 35 minutes, and 40 seconds. We have the next FOMC, which is at 98.9% easing. So we're gonna see, we should see dollar take a tumble against base currencies. I mean, against the base or whatever pair that you're trading. And we should be seeing gold go up. Dollar down, gold bullish. October, even December is at 100%. Should say like 99.9%. Leave that 0.1% for, anything can happen. What's the percentage of people who actually win the lottery? Looking for a nice little answer here. What's the percent of people who win the lottery? You're more likely to get struck by lightning than win the lottery. Yeah. Ever see those weird lightning balls? Such a strange phenomenon. When there's lightning, then it kind of like conjures itself up into like a ball. And it could be a small ball, it can be a big ball, and those balls can even fly into your house. And they got like a lot of energy in them and explode and do some serious damage. Scientists still don't know what that is or how it's formed. They assume it has something to do with something that's in the ground, but they don't really know 100%. About the same percentage as successful traders? No, even less than that. Come on, man. Being a successful trader, you're going to have a higher probability of that happening than winning the lottery. It's probably like 0 point something. Yeah, becoming a successful trader just has to do with your ability to want to see through it. You know, it's just the same way if you got like any aspirations, like career aspirations, you know, those things take time, you know. If you want to work for like a certain company, or you want to, you know, have to go to school for something for very many years, like it's not that you're not capable, you can do it, but you're just not willing to put in the amount of time that it takes to actually achieve that thing. Because, you know, it's like it has nothing to do with luck. It has more to do with just putting in effort. So if you want like a master's degree, or let's say you want a PhD, something like that, you can get it. It's just your own willingness to go through the process to get it. That's why the numbers are so low in trading, is because most retail traders, they usually just try. You know, whenever we have like business ideas, we kind of like just try. We never fully commit, or we don't know like what it looks like to fully commit. Because before trading, I didn't know what it looked like to actually fully commit into something. I used to actually, looking back at it in hindsight, a lot of the ideas that I had, whether that was like drop shipping, doing this, etc., were all like half-baked motivation, half-baked approaches to those things. You know, like drop shipping, I would watch a few videos. I would never even think about buying courses or anything of the sort. I would half-ass it, give it a go, it wouldn't work for me, then I'll move on. Looking back at it now, I see how that happens to most people. Because you think you're putting in work by watching videos on YouTube University, but it's not really. I still put in more work now being a profitable trader than I ever did when I was trying to learn like a certain skill like drop shipping. So I think it all comes down to like how bad do you want it. At the end of the day, you can achieve anything. It's just like how bad do you want it. Most people just don't want it bad enough. They think they do, but they don't. Or they haven't yet had the experience of actually putting in the work. How do you know when to stop when you lose too much? Like this isn't for you? You see, that's going to be very subjective. You know, if you ask Steve Harvey that, he'll tell you, man, he had a hard time. Steve Harvey used to sleep in his car. You know, like this guy was already in his 30s before he actually made it. You know, but he just kept going. So I think that just, it comes down to your personality traits. Mark Cuban didn't find success until maybe his late 20s or early 30s when he owned, I think he started with a pizza joint or like a restaurant business, if I'm not mistaken. So it all comes down to you, you know, like some people it takes them longer, but it's a more character trait than anything, I would say, because these people, like, that's all they know. Grant Cardone, that's all he knows. All he knows is how to be an entrepreneur. That's why he's told his wife, like, listen, if you don't let me do this, our relationship's not going to survive. You know, you have to have that self-actualization of who you are as a person. Because I understand when Grant Cardone can tell his wife such a thing, it means like this thing is never going to leave him. Entrepreneurship, building passive income, real estate, etc. That's just who he is. You know, some people are just who they are. That's why we say, you know, we're built different. Some people are just built different. So that's why I say, like, if you're chasing the money, if you're just doing this for the money and you're not putting in the work, you're not going to make it. It's just, you know, it's the truth. You're not going to make it because there's so many people out there putting in that work. And they're already profitable and they're still putting in that work. Yeah, at some point you don't know what to do. I think when I look at it now, it's like you just don't know what to do. All you gotta do is like work. Right? That's all you can do is work. That's why you have billionaires. You know, they don't even care about the money anymore. They dress very plainly. They don't care about the new gadgets, the new cars. Because at some point it's just like, man, this is all that I know what to do. And fortunately, a byproduct of that is a shit ton of money. You know, but this is all I know how to do. Like, there's nothing else. You know, sometimes your personal life needs to be kind of empty. So your trading life is not as complicated. So if you're focused on something, if you're locked in like that, then it's much easier for you to just keep getting better than the average person. Is if your personal life is not as cluttered and it allows you to focus on what matters, at least to you. All right, now we're floating at 0.18%. This thing is no direction here on a Monday yet. Just had like one little push to the upside, but nothing too serious. How long did it take you before you became profitable? It took me like about just a little over a year. Could be shorter for some people. I got DMs, people telling me that, you know, they're passing challenges, they're already finding profitability within the year. For me, you know, I could never have imagined passing anything in my first year of trading. Actually, it is insane the amount of people who are passing things in this day and age, like funded challenges and all this stuff. Insane. Because I could never have imagined passing anything in my first year. You know, it took me like maybe like 8 months. 8 months to even buy my first funded challenge. I obviously lost it. Then I bought 2 more and I lost those 2 too. It took me 8 months. You know, things take time. Things take time. It's different for other people. But I think the good thing is nowadays there's so much information. There's so much knowledge out there that some people are like finding it better to lock in, like easier to lock in than it was back in the day. You know, you got a lot of these live streams helping you out. Back in the day, we didn't really have so many of these live streams. You know, back in the day, it's like 2020. Around like 2020, there are not too many live streamers. Or at least like really good ones. Next time, also, you know, like from moving from a 1 lot, took me like, you know, a few months to move also from, you know, lot sizes. From like a 1 lot to, you know, like a 2 lot to a 4 lot. The problem is people want to do it overnight. You know, but like overnight, if you're thinking overnight, then it's not going to work for you. You got to think about the longevity of this thing. Nothing overnight works. You have to have the vision and you just got to keep sticking it through. That's how the Macintosh was built. That's how a lot of things were built. You have the vision for it. Man, you know how much people used to pay for a Macintosh back in the days when the computer finally came out and, you know, it was more like for consumers? People would pay like $2,000 for that machine. 4 megabytes was the gold standard. 4 megabytes back in those days. $2,000 for a freaking computer. Nowadays you can get, you know, pretty nice deals, but you see, when you get a vision and you see it through till the end, that's when growth becomes exponential. And it meant $2,000 back then was a lot of money, you know. It's not like $2,000 now is like nothing. Gotta buy a carton of eggs with that. But 2,000 back then, if you had a computer, you were like, you were earning pretty good. So you gotta have that vision, right? It's not overnight. It's not overnight. But when it plays out, it's just gonna be the best thing ever. And you won't need to tell anybody I told you so. Because your character would have already developed by the time you get to that point. Because right now we feel like we want to tell people we told them so. Right? People who didn't believe in us and then we made it happen. But once you get to that point, the best thing to do is just stay silent and just keep on doing what you're doing. Same way when you start making money, don't tell people about the money that you're making. That's the last thing you want to do. It's going to cause a lot of problems because people are not emotionally... people don't... Like, when it comes to money, like, people change. People are going to change on you. For me, when it comes to money, I don't tell anybody how much money I make. I'll show you guys what I make on a day-to-day basis, but I never tell anybody how much I make. Never tell anybody how much I make. And like, you know, when you come to that point where you have to start giving people money, I have one rule, even when it comes to family. And it's like, oh, I think I know this guy makes a lot of money. My only rule is, if you're coming to me for money, I'm going to give you the money, but I'm going to tell you that this is the last time that you're asking me for this money and I don't want it back. The only time you give people money is when you don't want it back. So you gotta give it to them and tell them that you're never gonna ask me for money again. That's the only condition. You know, because people don't pay you back. People don't pay you back and they're gonna use you. And when the money goes, they go too. It's the reality of life. So I think as traders, when we start to make a lot of money, we think that we're going to do a lot of good with it. But you also start to realize the way people think about money can actually ruin relationships. You know, if you become the go-to guy. So I think, you know, in trading, once you get profitable, you start building character slowly like that. And you start leveling up on different fields. So you just, you know, just stick with this game and you're always going to learn something from this, because I think at the end of the day, it's, you know, money makes the world go round, and you can learn a lot about psychology of money and people and yourself. So, you know, sometimes for us, it's like, we're also not patient, you know, we're not patient with money. We don't let money grow. It's like a tree, you know, you got to plant the seed and then you got to watch it grow. It takes time for that tree to grow. So every day is kind of the same thing, you know. That's what we're talking about as simulations yesterday. In the simulation, we're covering about how it's okay to wait for structure to come to you and not to chase price when it's not looking good. You know, because sometimes it's like when you're not simulating, you feel like you're wasting a lot of time, right? But when you're simulating, you can make these candlesticks go faster, and you tend to realize that if you're okay with waiting, you actually just get the much more easier trades come to you. So you become like almost like a magnet if you're okay with waiting. You know, you visualize what you want, you put yourself in the position you need to be, and you almost become like a magnet. It's like you manifest it almost. See, for right now, there's nothing. For example, according to my rules of what I want to take during this time, I see nothing because the daily is not moving anywhere. So I'm just going to sit here and wait for the market to come to me like a magnet. You know, so for what I actually want to see is I want to see maybe candlesticks start to give me some kind of a direction. Because right now we don't have direction. Price is just kind of consolidating. You know, maybe we're going to see a candlestick move up like this. Or maybe we're going to see candlestick move down like this. But we need to see some sort of direction. Because there's a chance that this daily candlestick just ranges. You know, we might have like a doji situation. You see, it can happen, guys. You can have no trade days. Look at this. This was on the 1st of October. Candlestick, doji. Volume of the candle, body, 68 pips. Total candle size from wick to wick, you know, about 420, which is quite decent, but see, there was no direction. So that's also a possibility within this area. You see how the daily is looking right now? It's still kind of like a doji formation. Never lend you money. Yeah, because people never pay you back. When you lend people money, you give it to them and you don't even think about it anymore. It's like, I've given it to you, just like, you know, that's it. People never pay you back. That's my experience. Like, it is insane. I don't know if I'm just stingy or what it is about me, but I like to pay people, like, I like to pay people back. So I always remember to pay people back. But when you give people money, they never, for some reason, most of the time, they will never remember to pay you back. And I'm like, what's going on here? Like, you know, it's all about like a Lannister always pays his debts type vibes, you know? But man, I just come to realize like over the years, people, I don't know. I think when it comes to money, something happens to us. Oh, they remember, they don't care. Yeah, I think when it comes to money, I don't know what the fuck happens to us. You know, it's the same way. It's the same way like when we come on a new week like this and we're like, oh, we're about to follow our rules. This week things are going to be different. I'm going to wait for those candles to close. And then all of a sudden, something happens to us down the line. Throughout the whole week, you know, maybe Monday is fine, Tuesday, but something happens. I don't know what it is that happens, but something happens. You know, we start breaking our rules. Then we completely forget how the week even started. Or you come to a session like this, you know exactly what you want, and then something happens and you break the rules. It's accumulating here again. It's getting ready for maybe another break. Another break soon. It's breaking now. I'll take this buy if we're trending. If I got the daily direction, I'll take this buy right here. It's crazy though, because like the sellers, you know, we've been sensing the selling pressure since not even since that Friday candle, but even these previous candles over here. Like if you look on the intraday time frames, we were already noticing like quite a lot of selling pressure coming in. It's quite interesting to see how these dumps are coming in. Like even this morning, I was like, wow, we're still selling off on gold. Bears definitely in the market. Do that apply to your brother or friends? Yeah, it applies to everybody. Like, of course, there's certain scenarios where it's like, okay, you know, you can do, but you're never responsible for any other person's financial decisions, right? Like everybody gonna make their own financial decisions. So just because like somebody makes like very shitty and poor judgments, and it's very, you know, like it has nothing to do with you. You know, those are their decisions that they made. You could either choose today to be financially responsible or not, you know. That's your own problem. That's your own problem. Because the way I look at it, it's all about like accountability. You know, it's all about accountability and decisions that you make in life that put you in certain scenarios. You know, whether you choose to save your money or spend your money or invest it in dumb shit. Like these are all like decisions that you make. So you should never feel responsible of other people's poor financial decisions. Because if you want to be the hero, then you know, then you're going to get dragged down a lot, unfortunately. Because everybody's going to be looking for a handout. And you won't be able to afford it. And you will be broke. And you'll be in the same position as they are. And then no one's going to come and support you. And you think they're gonna feel sorry for you? Come on, man. No one's gonna feel sorry for you. You're still gonna be in the same boat all together. It's better that you're in a position, you know, I always say, like, if you're still trying to make it and you don't have much to your name, it's better for you to disappear for a bit and at least come back to be in a position where you can actually help people than having everybody just drown in the same pool. You know, because a lot of people find themselves in a situation like that. And yes, it might seem selfish at the moment, but you're not responsible for other people's poor financial decisions. And you'd rather come back when you can actually help them. I am sidelined. Didn't catch the... What is that? Team Popcorn wins. Yeah, this thing is like setting beautifully here. It's still distributing from this region. There's a region right over here. See, break above the highs. Boom. Still trying to push up. It's forming another bigger a psychology over here. That's funny one, architect. Nah, you should feel uncomfortable, honestly, taking money from people. Some people don't feel bad about it. I feel so bad. You know, the thing about the entrepreneurial mindset is we don't like to ask people for help, correct? We don't like it. We feel like we don't feel good when we ask people for help. It's an entrepreneurial mindset. Man, I don't understand how some people, they can ask you a question and maybe even wait so many hours for you to respond, whereas they could have just figured that out for themselves already. You know, like, for example, I hate asking people for things because that takes longer as well. It takes longer to get feedback from them. And if I just put in the work, I could probably figure it out myself. Hate asking people for handouts. I don't have any debt. I even hate asking the bank for money. I have no debt. I think the best thing you can do to yourself is have no debt. But you see, you see what most people are going to do? They're going to get debt because they want to buy a car. Most people buy a car. They're going to buy a car and they're going to take debt on a car. Can you imagine? Gonna buy a Hellcat just to have a Hellcat. But you got debt on that. And it's insane. Or buy a new iPhone they can't afford. Worst thing you're gonna ever do is owe someone money. You never want to owe someone money because, you know, that takes a lot of time to pay that back off. You know, that's why when I started making money in trading, man, I got somebody of mine, he wanted to invest with me. I was like, no, just keep your money. Just keep your money because I never want to have to owe anybody money. You know, and that was a lesson that thankfully I learned quite earlier on because my mentor went through a similar thing where he owed people money. And it took him like a whole year to pay those people back from trading. You know, they invested in him for trading and it took him a whole year. So every month he would put aside, you know, maybe like 70% of the money he was making and he would just put it towards like paying these people. For a whole year, you're not making any money. You're just paying people back. Looking long or shorts? No, I'm looking for a breakout somewhere. Maybe like price is gonna move up and then get like a continuation above here. Yeah, never get debt, guys. Never get debt. Like, even when it comes to trading, don't get debt in trading. It's not a good idea to take a loan from the bank so you can fund your trading. Doesn't make any sense. I started with a $500 account. 500 bucks. You know, if you can make it on 500 bucks, then you can make it like on any account size. Try 500 bucks, even 200 bucks. As long as you can do it. As long as you can actually pull something out of the market. Because every day was just like, can I pull something out of the market? You know, you first have like baby steps. What can I pull out of the market consistently? You know, because those $20 days, you know, if you can pull out even 20 bucks a day or even like, you know, $10 a day, I think that's pretty amazing. And man, when I started, I was still working part-time and I was still studying. So, you know, for me, 10 bucks, pretty nice. Buy a few drinks with my friends, you know, would meet up in the park, and I would have like a little extra money over there to spend. So I think it was pretty nice, you know, as a student. That's like a little cheeky takeout. You know, you start with small things. You start with smaller things. You pay those smaller bills, and then you just keep like kind of rewarding yourself along the journey. So you got to pull something out the market, reward yourself whenever you can. So it keeps you motivated and it makes it more real. You know, like when you pull it out and you go buy something, it makes it more real. But when you leave it all in that account and you're just trying to scale this account and take big risks, it's a lot more stressful than when you take like, you know, baby steps. Baby step, baby step, baby step. Reward yourself along the way. Baby step, reward yourself along the way. And you know, those $10 days, $20 days, they quickly add up, you know, $50 days. Once you start finding consistency, $100 days. And man, by the time I was making $100 a day, I would not even, like, you tell me straight out of university where you're gonna make, you know, like $100+ a day. You know, at that point, you kind of like change your whole mental outlook. The problem is we're all like, sometimes we're earning too little that it doesn't make sense to us. Like if I tell you to grind 1 to 2% a day for, let's say, the next 6 months, you're gonna calculate that and how much money that is. Maybe it's not even enough to pay your bills, right? So it's not gonna make sense to you. But you have to have that mental model when you come into it. You know, because getting an account to be a much larger account is a lot easier than it is to build a skill. Getting the bigger account is going to be a lot easier than it is to get the skill. So you want to really focus on the skill. Do you use the VWAP and RSI before trading? Yeah, I used to use RSI divergence. And it worked kind of well for some time, but I have nothing against it. I think I just stopped using it. Hey, good morning, Shalu. Some say, let me bring this up here. Some say it's impossible to start with small account, but you learn a lot managing small account. At least that was my case. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna learn a lot because you gotta mess up, right? When you start something new, each time you kind of like expecting yourself to mess up in some shape, in some way, shape or form. Like when you start something new for the first time, you're always gonna kind of mess up. So you're just kind of managing those initial phases. You learn a new strategy for the first time. You're gonna kind of mess up entries. You gotta mess something up. The good thing is you're at least like, you know, trying. When you're messing up, it means you're trying, which is better than not trying. I started adding the fixed range volume profile. Oh, it's such a nice tool. If you can't even manage small equity, better stop trade first and learn more because it will make your money goes faster. Yes. Like getting capital. That's the one thing I love about our industry. Getting capital is not a problem. Trust me, getting the money is not going to be a problem. Your biggest problem right now is not your account. A lot of people think their problem is their account. It's not your account. So that should also give you some kind of a relief. That your biggest problem is not your account. So stop worrying at being too fixated on the account. That's not what your biggest problem is. That should actually be a huge relief for you. Because for a lot of businesses, most of the time it is the capital. You know, where you're going to get financing. Maybe you're going to have to take a loan, or what can you do? right? But in trading, it's not the case. That's not what you have to be worried about. The only thing you got to be worried about is, can you pull something out of the market daily? Can you manage your risk? And how does that look like at the end of the quarter? That's all that it is. Because you have a lot of options to get capital. Is your strategy price action? Yes. My strategy is price action. As you can see here, for example, this has now become a no trade zone. So, you know, you're not going to do anything here. I mean, how much of a relief is that, guys? Anybody who's just hearing this for the first time, or, you know, still experience, how much of a relief is it to know that your biggest problem is not capital? Because that's the hardest part for most people, right? And that's the least of your worries. It's the emotional control 80% that affects the trade, technical around 20%, because the skill is a template. But emotion is something different every time we take a trade. Yes, that's true. Skill is like a template. But the emotional part of it is not. How profitable are these prop firm guys? Is there anyone who's earning from props? Yeah, I think, yeah, of course, people do. People earn from props. But you kind of like gonna grow your own account to a certain level where you don't need a prop, and you're gonna feel a lot more comfortable about withdrawals and keeping your money and not breaking any rules. That's why for me, I don't do prop farm challenges, because why would I prove to someone who's not even on my own level? Why would I prove to someone that I can pass a prop firm? They're not even on my level. You know, so it's like a huge waste of time. Because once you get a prop firm and you get funded, the next goal is, how can you trade your own capital? Right? The goal isn't to just keep getting funded. It's like, how can you trade your own capital? You're going to have a lot more control over it. Because if you don't have control over your money, then, you know, you're either going to have control over your money or you don't have control over your money. Looking very bearish today. Definitely see the sellers lurking in the market. Have itchy feet. When's the next trade? No, you can't have itchy feet. There's no itchy feet. That's all made up. That's all made up in your head. Market doesn't know if your feet are itchy. All it knows is if it's going to be a setup as part of your rules and what you came onto the charts for, or not. You know, so you just got to be okay with like sitting on your hands. And that's the thing about trading is, if you're not okay with sitting on your hands, then you're going to end up, you know, maybe you get caught in a situation like this a lot of the times where price action is just choppy. Got a lot of choppiness. See how it looks right now? A lot of indecision with the London Open. A lot of wicks are starting to build within this area. But it's accumulating. The good news is you're at a point A. Right? So that's the good news. Is that in this cycle, you're currently at a point A right now. What this means is you haven't like missed anything and the market is still setting up. Right? So there's a couple ways this can go. We could either break above these highs and then price moves bullish, or we're going to break below these lows and then price moves down. And you got like very nice clean range onto the downside. You know, we got sellers in the market currently. It looks like easier for price to even move down. You have about a 154 pip range for price to move down over here. Below support by 42.53. So that's the good news. Is that if you want to take a position, it's going to be either from one of these two directions. And what you're going to see next is what we expect is just this distribution. So your accumulation, then it either goes up or it goes down. Hourly open. Oh yeah, wow, it's already new hourly open. Nice. With uncertainty rising, is gold's bull run far from over? Yes. It's far from over, but the weird thing is we're seeing a bit of hesitation, right? You can feel it, right? Through the intraday time frames, y'all can feel it. It's kind of different from like how it was previously. We're starting to feel a little bit more anxiety, a little bit more sellers in the market. And it's hard to explain such a thing. It's like either you look at the charts a lot and you know or you don't know. It's just one of those things that you know or you don't know. That there's definitely something with gold. It's a bit jittery. It's still moving up. There's still prospects for it to move up. But it's a bit jittery nowadays. Since last week I started feeling it. Yeah, there's hesitation or nice. Because there are just some things you know you just can't teach. That's why sometimes I say you can't teach psychology too. It's like leading a horse to water, but you can't force a horse to drink. You can tell somebody to stick to 1 or 2 trades a day, but you know it's up to them if they're going to do that. Currently trading a funded 50k account, risking only 200 to 400 per trade. Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, you know, like, that's why I say, you know, like, how much were we making the simulation yesterday?
We don't do that here.
We made, well, 450 bucks, around like $450. You know where else you make that kind of money? Provided you have a $5,000 account. And that was like, well, we did like 2 or 3 days trading. When I first opened TFX Live, I was so newbie 2 years ago. I couldn't imagine that I'll be 200k funded and paying my bills from trading. First time flies so fast. Wow, nice ones. Yeah, I remember Seto Trade. I remember you. I remember even like the initial times when you joined the stream. That's a username that stands out for me. Amazing, man. Glad to hear it, bro. Let's freaking go. I'm insecure. Well, if you're introverted, then you know you're in the right field. Because you don't have to be extroverted to become a trader. It's the best introverted skill that yes, you must remember me. Yeah, man. It's like the best skill for an introvert, you know. Don't talk to anybody. You just do your thing and move on about your day. How's Bitcoin doing? It's like still moving kind of down. Still expecting this thing to crash. We might see like a right shoulder formation on the crash. It looks like that's what we're forming. Right over here. Left shoulder, head. I reckon price will come down, retest maybe like, you know, around like 80k. And then pull up again. Retest like 115. And then dump. crash down towards a $20,000 over here, back towards those regions. So this stream is kind of like an archive, because I wanted to archive my prediction now on Bitcoin. Just the same way like we had a prediction on Bitcoin over here in 2021. Literally predicted this. It's also on my Instagram, before after picture with timestamps. Price to go up, retest 60K one time, and then crash to $15,000. And we got it right to the T. Right to the T over there, 15K. Exactly happened like we thought. So now I think we're in a similar situation with BTC. Something about Bitcoin is not sitting right with me. I feel like this thing is going to push, retrace, and then back down to 20. Any chance you can make the simulation later? It's 2 a.m. in Australia when you do the simulation. It's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult because it's just based off of like when I'm also free in the day. But I mean, it's gonna be recorded, I guess. I'm uploading it today. Because you know, it's like if we do it later for you, someone else lives in a different time zone. So that's also going to be too late for them. So you're never going to get the time zone right. Hey, but I saw like ICT did a stream yesterday at like pretty late. Or pretty odd hour. Like similar time that I do my simulations. They had like 4,000 people watching. So at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you're going to show up or you're not going to show up. Because the time zone thing is like super difficult. So you got Mr. Rashid now in Japan and he's trading London Open at 4 p.m. From his usual, it would be for him right now, I think like 10 a.m. Right now it's like, you know, 5 p.m. It's 2 a.m. in Canada and I gotta tune in. Oh yes, it's 2 a.m. there. It's 4 a.m. Eastern. Anonymous plays tuning in. Might have to do more than one session. Yeah, I don't know what world you live in, but I don't live on the internet. See any news over here? Gold edges lower amid signs of easing in the US-China trade tensions which would diminish safe haven appeal or the precious metal. Oh man. President Trump said in a television interview that the US is going to do fine with China. Trump also said the additional 100% levy on imports from China that he has threatened to introduce at the start of November wasn't sustainable. No shit. No shit, Sherlock. The gold prices apparently unstoppable. March has finally hit a speed bump. Yeah. IG's Chris Gbpjpy says in an email, investors will have to wait to see if the selling continues on Monday, indicating a potential short-term top in this glittering rally. It's strange. Yeah, this is it. Like, you know, we've hit a few speed bumps here and like gold is pulling down. Short-term tops. Yeah, it's like short-term tops we've formed on gold before we keep moving up again. We got like 9 days till the next FOMC. So, you know, it's like people could be pricing in soon as well for gold buys. See this point A right now? It's chosen to break above the high. So we actually should see it move up. That's what I would expect from price, 0.34%. I'd expect it to start moving up there. Question is like, if we got FOMC in 9 days, wouldn't people already start pricing in some gold buys? Especially since we've already had the pullback and the 4-hour looks good. That 4-hour range for price to keep moving up looks pretty good. So you're gonna see people already start keying in orders for the next FOMC in 9 days, you know, because you gotta have like smart money. They have to get in position sooner. When you see it, it's already kind of too late. By the time we get to FOMC, we might have already priced it in. See, now it's starting to break off from this point A. We should see a distribution come out of this. So at least something happened here. So the probability of something happening should increase here at this point as it breaks structure. Well, that's going to be a winning trade or a losing trade, but you know, this is it. So I'm going to wait for a little bit more commitment to the upside for me to get stuck in. So I don't mind if that distributes a bit more and then catching it a bit later. Back to the gulag. Why is there no volume now? Let me call the market and ask him. Dude. Hey, gold? Yeah, it's Vic. Well, why is there no volume? Why are you not moving? Got people here. We got like 330 people here waiting. Can you give us like, you know, 0.40% or something? Man, I don't know why there's no volume. I'm sitting here just like everybody else. You know, it's like when you're at the airport and then a random guy asks you like, how do I get to this place? I'm gonna look at that guy and tell him I'm a traveler too, you know, I'm traveling as well. I don't know. I don't know how to get to this area over here you're talking about. I'm just like you. I'm also, you know, just trying to figure out this airport. Four p.m. for me in China. It's great here because 8 a.m. Asia session, 3 p.m. London Open, 8 p.m. New York. Oh, that's nice. It's pretty good if trading is not all that you do. So at least you have it towards the end of the day, which is really comfortable. But if trading is all that you do, then in between now and London Open, for example, it can get kind of like boring. You feel like the whole day basically gets wasted as you wait for the London Open. Good morning, Vic. Just broke out of resistance. I'm waiting as fast as I can. If that creates a support and then breaks the lows. Got like a reversal play. Right now it's just trying to do like a small break and a retest. Are we looking for possible bypass resistance 4280? I think even before 4280, 4280 is still some ways away. I would say until let's measure this out. Oh yeah, if we can just break above these highs that we're forming right now. We can break above those highs. That could start to look interesting. We have like 4262. I think what I want to see is first for us to break it and then set something up to continue moving bullish. See right now what it's doing is like a shotgun play. It's currently in a shotgun play right over here. Some nice range on the left hand side. So it's trying to fill this area up. It's like a 53 pip range. Already peaked here about 20 pips on the break of the first entry. This is a shotgun entry over here. Close above resistance. Nice clean range towards 4265. But now it seems like it's coming back into the gulag. Question is whether to take a buy here if you create structure and respect this zone to continue moving up, or to wait for it to first break that high. But I think in this situation we just gotta sit on our hands a bit longer and see what the market structure forms. I say if it breaks the Asia high, that probably will be more clear to move upwards with a clean range to fill. Yeah, where's the Asia high? Yeah, it is. That's our 4-hour resistance. Not enough volume. Yeah, not at the moment. That's true. At this moment, we can sense there's a low volume. Go over here and look at some charts. Nice, we got Jamal with some W's over here. I use that broker VT markets, which is low spread, and their withdrawal are very easy. Thanks, Mr. Tetra. Without him, I couldn't take trades. May Allah protect him and bless him. Thank you, Mr. Jam. Mr. Jamal. These are my morning profits. My personal account, $50. I withdrew every Thursday, $50. Imagine that. Oh, nice. I do watch the YouTube educational video every time. Amazing. Yeah, at least if you can like just reward yourself, I feel like that's a good habit to have. Inverted head and shoulders in the minute 5. From this previous setup here? Yeah, I think so. Let's go the 5 minute. Or what do you mean? Oh, from this area. What are you looking at here? It doesn't look the prettiest. There could be something there, but it definitely does not look really nice. You know, as compared to, let's say, what happened down over here. See, that looks quite different. This is where Luke got the buys. Oh yeah, he took a buy over here. So he's kind of like on that right shoulder, and then got that beautiful distribution up. You know, it just came out of that zone, so you can see where it came from. TFX concepts over here, where this move came from. And then the next move we're expecting was from here, but see, low volume for some reason. Very low volume. Let's see, it broke the highs and did about how many? 18, 16. If you're doing like a scalp 16 pips, you could have caught it. But yeah, otherwise, I think, you know, just a low volume move. It's coming back down. Got a sell over here. Yeah, this was this morning's sell-off. This was the one I was also contemplating. There's also one right here. Candle closed below support. Break of the lows. It's also broke within the last, I think, minute before the candlestick closed to fill this range. The whole idea here was that price was to fill this area. Doesn't look like it closed on your broker. Let me see if it closed on mine. I'm tripping. It's all the way up here, right? Yeah, it did close on mine. I've filled out that range beautifully. Then there was a secondary range. You know, the good thing about this is, let's say if you had one trade idea here and price fill this for next range, this would be the next area. So you got range 1 right here, and you got range 2 down below here. So you got like these two areas. So if you like a sell here and you're like, oh, you know, maybe I can leave like a strong runner. So you're looking at where's that next range gonna be. See, so you got another, says about 147 pips below support. And then the first range was about 84 pips. But you see, in this scenario, it looks like the market had other ideas. Because it decided before it fills the second range, it was going to come up on this wick to tap you out of break even. So it came all the way up over here, making sure it grabs everybody who was like in any kind of short positions before it continued to move in that direction. So you see, like, the market has a kind of a sense of humor here. You're gonna see that happen quite a lot, and you wonder to yourself, if it was truly like people moving the market, like buying and selling and moving markets, correct? That's what we think markets operate, because we know that markets are logical. We have to think of markets in like a logical perspective. But why would it have such a consistent behavior? If it's just like between buyers and sellers moving the market, it would be a little bit more random, wouldn't you say? But what I've noticed over the years, over my almost 6 years trading now, is that definitely there's some kind of patterns to it. Even when we did a simulation yesterday, you know, we had that one trade that hit that 16 pip where it removed the stop loss, then it hit 16 slightly, and then it reversed. Then it's like those things that the things we look out for sometimes, and that's why we don't use like hard stops. You know, we'd rather just like close it out manually. It's because like these little intricate things which happen, they say like the devil is in the details. I got apps today. See y'all later. Don't forget a full margin. Godspeed, Joshua. Man, I haven't worked out in like, I think, basically 1.5 weeks. I'm getting back into it today again. Yeah, back in the gulag. Low volume. Been at 6 a.m. every day? What's that? You been working out at 6 a.m. every day? Respect, respect. Apparently, the people who you see go to the gym in the morning, those people are always the most consistent. Like, you will always see those same people at the gym in the morning hours. It's different from the people who come to the gym in the afternoon or late afternoon, you know, like after work. That group of people, like, super inconsistent. You're gonna see different types of people. Some people are not gonna come, other people, you know, new people are gonna show up. But the ones who come in the morning, for the most part, they're always there. That's why I just got all the equipment. I don't know if you got it too in your house. It's a lot easier, right? If you have it in your house, there's less of an excuse for you not to do it. It's gonna look at you. You know, every time that I go into, because I got the equipment just in my room. Every time I go into my room and I look at my bench press, this is what I see. I see Kratos from God of War telling me, "It's time, boy." I just see his face on the bench press. It is time to pay your dues, boy. So you can't avoid it. Kratos. Man, if there's one guy who's had a hard life, it's Kratos. I can't think of anybody in this whole realm of like supervillains or superheroes who's had a hard time like Kratos. Like, you know, you got the Superman story and, you know, all those just sound like light work compared to this guy's story over here. Some serious character development on that one. I was just thinking whether to take a buy at the highest here or... What are we up right now? Like 0.35%. Leon Kennedy better. Did you read the Leon Kennedy story? Try Google him right now. This guy from Resident Evil. Is it Leon Scott Kennedy from Resident Evil? I mean, new Resident Evil games coming out soon. Looks interesting. No, I haven't seen his story. Come on, man. But this guy, look at this guy's hair. There's no way you're telling me this compared to Kratos, the God of War. This Justin Bieber looking guy here. How bad could it have been? Whatever that this guy went through. You know, how bad could it have really been? This looks quite decent. What the hell is this? Take a look at this guy. Dwayne Johnson's playing it. Do you think we will do 8TH today or continue selling? What's your personal expectation? I think, you know, price right now, I have no expectations from price. And I think that's just the way it has to kind of be now because it's a Monday and, you know, we've been seeing gold sell off. Price action is jittery, as you can see. So I think like zero expectations is the best way to go. And then just let the market do its thing. You know, so if it sells off and you expect it buys, it doesn't phase you. Because I think a lot of the time people are still too focused on the buys on gold, correct? Like rightfully so. But gold has been kind of like pulling back a lot. Platform X is down, so just paper trading on TV. Anyone else having issues with the network and logging in? The website is down or not working. Twitter app just not working, or is it me? There's a like a volume's coming back in. See this 1 minute candlestick. It's looking kind of promising. But on my side, it looks like Twitter is still working. Or X. See, what are we up right now? 0.38%. See how it's about to break here. Starting to break with some volume. Yeah, well, my side seems like it's still working. $0.3940. Alright, be right back, chat. Alright, still pushing nicely.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
I think like gold just filled up some kind of a range here towards resistance. It's a range we're looking at towards like 42.66. Because it's kind of has a bunch of heavy lifting to do by this 4-hour resistance to get through that level. You know, multiple resistance points. These are the Asia highs. Up over here, we just finished like the last little bit of range. That was from here to here. It's like 56 pips. But that's it, you know, at this point, it's like now you have rejection wicks, you got other resistance points. See, what you're seeing now is like profit taking from that region up over here. And straight back into the gulag. After a little 31 pip move from this accumulation over here. It's pretty decent. Didn't give too much drawdown on that position at the break. The highest could have gone away with like even a tighter 16 pip stop. Yeah, exactly. Off to the gulag. Bye bye, gold. Now after it's hit resistance. Probably is even the pullbacks don't make any sense because it's pulled back, but you know, we're back down below 0.40% again. It's trying, you know, I feel like it's trying to go up. Yeah, it is. It is trying to go up because, you know, it's like if we're getting these rate cuts in 9 days, where do you think smart money would be getting in? You know, they would have to be keying in buy positions already here because we've already had the pullback. We've had the pullback, correct? And since they move the market, they need to get in sooner. So they could already start scaling in. So when it comes time for FOMC, maybe price is going to be consolidating somewhere around like 43.40 and 43.60-ish area over here. Because they already got stuck in their positions and I expect gold to continue moving up. Because they trade based off fundamentals, not strictly technicals. So fundamentally, even if you look at the SME, it is at 99% easing, 98.9% easing. So, you know, fundamentally, I think, you know, it makes a lot of sense that gold will go up in the long term. And yeah, that's it. You know, you don't want to like outsmart the market. So, you know, sometimes people are going to look at this data and say, oh, I think actually gold should sell off because of XY reasons. Most of the time, it's better to just stick with the sentiments. Just the same way as Forex Factory as well. If you're not exactly sure what you're doing, just stick with the sentiments. But fundamentally speaking, this week is gonna be a good week. There's nothing major that we're waiting for that's scheduled. Man, I hate the price action since Friday. Yeah, since last week it's been jittery. You can see a clean range on the left at the 15 time frame. Yeah, clean range on the left hand side if we break below support, correct? Break below 42.53. Because see, it's tapped resistance and it's just stuck in this zone over there. So yeah, I mean, this is the only thing that looks clean. Because what do you notice about this? Price action. What do you guys notice about this price action? See, ranges are being filled. You had another fill right over here to down here. You got another fill from here to here. You know, where's the next fill going to be? It's probably going to be from here. That's the only thing that we can see is ranges are getting filled. So, you know, if you see that ranges are getting filled, then why not base trading off of ranges getting filled? You also got another range over here get filled. You know, this is kind of like the way I kind of like to look at markets is where are we most likely heading? You know, money loves the path of least resistance. That's where it's going to flow towards. See, I fill that range. Look at this. Why have a reaction here? No, like really think about it, Chad. You know, I don't know if you guys think that I'm making this up, but really think about this for yourself. You know, you got support. Why price comes down like this and then has that reaction? You know, why do we keep doing... Oh, god damn it. I'm trying to move this thing. Why do we keep doing this? See, that's the second example. It's like breadcrumbs. See, these ranges are like magnets for price. Sometimes it's just harder for those ranges to get filled. You know, it's not 100%, but you know, like that's the idea. It's just sometimes it's all about like how we're gonna fill that range. Sometimes move smoothly, like in the other examples. Sometimes, you know, it gives you a bit more of a hard time, such as what happened over here. So based off of that thesis, so that's now a thesis of what price typically does. You can have a similar thesis for this range, and then, you know, you can gonna use like an experiment. You gotta experiment this. Correct? So if that's your thesis, so you're trying to prove that thesis that it works, and how often does it work, and when do you take those trades, and the timings, and you know, then it becomes a lot easier to like have a kind of a extra confidence when you're looking for those types of trades, those types of entries, once you get the sample sizing data for that. But that's a thesis, and then you just got to prove it. And it's a pretty simple one to prove. Pretty easy. You can do backtesting yourself and see on all your instruments. All right, just see how it is on the other time frames as well. But I personally love using the 5-minute time frame. That's my favorite time frame. Cryptos got bagged and gold team long finally. Even if it breaks above resistance, there's a range from Friday. Yep, that's a 4-hour range. That's the one I think maybe for New York session, or even like this week. We're probably gonna see. That's the target for this week. That's most likely this week is the target. 43.80. You know, we want to see this week that this range here gets filled by 43.80ish. Because path of least resistance, right? If price already came down here, look at this. Came, spiked these lows. Kind of looks jaggedy around this area over here. It doesn't look too nice. Got some freaking doji candles and some wicks building up. So where's the path of least resistance? Right over here. See how this breadcrumbs look a lot more juicy? That price can go up there this week. So that's what my thesis is for the week. I think price can continue to move up bullish. And the question now is, how are we going to fill that range? Because there's a couple ways that happens. Price, you know, is going to move up beautifully and cleanly like this, or it's going to move a little bit more jaggedy like that. And that's a lot more harder to trade. But it could still fill the range, but do it in a difficult way. like this, basically exactly like this. But the way we came down was pretty clean on Friday. How much percent volume do you look for a good long scalp? Well, like 40% plus would be a good signal. From anywhere from the London Open onwards, if prices up like 0.40 or down 0.40, it's a pretty good signal that you're getting direction. And ideally, you want to have a day like that where it's like volume has already kicked in and the daily is already moving by the time we get the London session open up. Ideally, that's what you want to see. If we stay like this up until, let's say, NY open, it gets a lot more difficult to get a good read on price. You can still catch a trade. It just won't be as straightforward as your other days maybe have been. Because that's one thing I think, like, I also got quite confused when I started trading was some days were like price moved good because market was trending. And then most of the time, at least in my experience in 2020, it was like still kind of difficult to get a read on price. So once you start looking at the daily, that's when you start to understand better of like what's actually going on here today. So it gives you an idea of what to expect from the market. Because if I take a buy and we're up like 0.50, 60%, you know, I'm feeling really good. If I take a buy or a sell and we're just at 0.20, I'm not feeling as great. So I'm kind of relying on more of the intraday ranges to be getting filled up, wherever those could be. Like small little intraday ranges like this. Imagine we're getting to 43.80. Can you imagine? Does Discord have that a GIF? Kanye West jacuzzi. Oh wow, it actually has it. Can you believe we don't have a jacuzzi? I was like, Kim was like, can you believe we don't have a jacuzzi? Can you believe we don't have a jacuzzi? Small little distribution happening from here. Yeah, these are just like small little scalps here and there. Guess it's a good environment for an aggressive type of trader, aggressive type of scalper. Does anyone wants to join a group with 91% hit rate that will give you an exact SL and TP? Kurt, you are so close from being hidden on this channel. You are so close, my friend. See, now it's coming down to flirt with the support by 42.53. We're gonna wait for a pullback. Yeah, at this point, it's not really a pullback you're waiting for. You know, for pullback, ideally you'd want to have a direction, right? So since we don't have a direction, we're not waiting for a pullback. Because if it pulls back, the daily is gonna flip. You know, it's gonna flip. If it breaks below support over here and just moves only about, you know, like 40, 50 pips, daily is gonna flip. Gold at $5,000 on cards as investors get comfortable. Investors appear to be increasingly willing to allocate more of their funds to gold. It's a weird thing, a weird scenario that we're in right now is because we're getting really good fundamentals on gold, but gold is just not behaving the way the fundamentals are saying it should. It's quite an interesting situation. Just the same way when we had the escalations at Gaza and price on gold was moving down. You know, we're in a similar situation like that again. Anyway, let's just see what they're saying. They are hearing of a general comfort in letting gold exposures run as a share of the average investor portfolio. And plus, gold's already up like 60% on the year. You know, we're already coming towards the end of the quarter over here. It would be nice to see investors get a bit more aggressive with gold, see if we can keep pushing it up. But they could get comfortable. If we're seeing massive pullbacks like this, we're seeing some serious profit taking from the year. They attribute that the broad uncertainty, citing the US government shutdown, tariffs, and US-China tensions, as well as general concerns about economic growth, inflation, and Fed independence. Its gold price forecast higher with 4,500 and 5,000 per ounce, now accounted for in our middle and high scenarios. 4,500, 5,000. Although investors aren't fleeting other markets, even a small rotation out of other assets can have a sizable impact on global gold market. Yeah, spot gold is up about 0.30. You see, they even use it here, 0.30%. So you see the way I trade, it's very much in line with what's happening in terms of discourse. If you've noticed, like when we talk about accumulation, you know, psychological marks, daily percentage gains, it's all in line with some kind of discourse that's going on. You know, you're never going to see any FEG talk over here, I guarantee you. I've never seen those 3-letter words here ever been printed. You know, I love this little meme that I posted on Discord, where it's like this guy, he goes into a hedge fund and he's like, look at this guy. It's like liquidity sweep. And this guy's like, mate, this isn't YouTube. We use real strategies here. Imagine going into this area. Ask yourself this question, right? This is you walking up. You're about to give a presentation at a hedge fund. Would you feel comfortable going in there and start talking about your inducements and the FEG and all these complicated terms that you guys are learning from this guy? Like, no one will know what the hell you're talking about.
This isn't YouTube. We use real strategies.
They literally tell you this is not YouTube. But if you go in here and you give a presentation, you start talking about like accumulation, consolidations, psychological points. You know, heck, even a moving average. They also use moving averages. You know, the 200 moving average is quite well known. It's been used quite a lot for these higher time frame traders. Then everyone kind of like understands what you're talking about. Talk about macros, heck, even support and resistance, supply and demand. You know, because those are things that you can actually see on the chart, like without having to create a narrative around something that you think price is. And that's what it comes down to, like when you start talking about those wick, you know, you got to draw a wick from here. I don't know, I'm not throwing any shade or anything. I'm just telling you the God's honest truth, right? It's like, this is just a narrative that you've kind of made up. You've made up a wick here and a wick here. And then you're going to say some, I'm going to call this like FEG. You made this up. Like when you look at the anatomy of a candlestick, you get a candle body and you get wicks. Correct? So if you're going to start looking at things in a very complicated way, like this, it gets a bit weird and confusing. right? It gets a bit weird and confusing. That's why you support and resistance. That's what I was explaining to you. Remember the examples I was showing you before of how the ranges get filled and how they get filled when you're just drawing support resistance from here to here, here to here, or from here to here. Because these are like targets, right? These are targets, little range fills from here to here. And it's the same idea. It's, you know, it's this whole reason why I even took this sell this morning. And a lot of my trades, it's like the same thing. You know, we got a break of the lows and then the range got filled. See on the 5-minute time frame over here, down towards like 42.34, because that was like the target. And those zones are like magnets. And as soon as they hit that level, you start to see some kind of a reaction. You typically see some kind of a reaction once it fills those zones. Right? And it's not making anything up. Look at this. Look at this range from here. Look at this. What does this mean? Why do we always get price move like this through these zones? So the more like those zones that you have marked out in the chart, you know, the better. I think this was an all-time high move. That was another all-time high buy over here. I think this was another all-time high buy. Then we got some more ranges in between. See, look at this clean traffic. The whole area gets mopped up. So this is the sweet spot for me. Is how can I find myself in a position like this? You know, that's where I excel at. It's like, how can I put myself in this position? You know, sometimes the market makes it easy for you. Sometimes, you know, you just gotta be okay with missing the trade. Again, it's just like going back to what we spoke about gaming. Right? So how can you put yourself in this position? So you see, that's that position that I kind of look at in terms of clean ranges. So it's like I'm behind a shield of some sort and I have the odds a little bit in my favor. So you can peek like this and you can like, you know, you're feeling more safe in between the range. So I'm big on visual learning. So I try and use visual cues as much as I possibly can to also explain the charts to people. Oh, signal over there. Still had the signal from earlier. They're under King Wood's protection. You will be engaged if this persists. Yes. You can see the daily flip if you have the settings on. I think I got the setting on. Isn't it this right here? I got it marked out, but yeah, thanks for sharing that, Luke. So I got mine here marked out like this, so we can see exactly where that daily is if we're trading above it or below it. Where we heading to? Come on, Goldie. Hi, yo Vic, how you doing, mate? Hope you had a great weekend. Thank you, Maddie. Yeah, it was a pretty good weekend. So what GJ is doing? GJ HTF. Actually, looks like it's been attempting to fill that little gap that we had on that market open over here. Still hasn't fully come into it though. Looks nasty. Lots of wicks, a lot of wickage going on here. Look at these. It's already indicating like some kind of a danger. That's what the intraday looks like. Now looks like just pushed like 11 pips. It's filling up this range on the left hand side. See this? Got a small little range here. Just a small little break and retest to continue down towards this area, and then it broke this support. And now it's heading down towards that next support. So that next support there is now acting like the magnet for price. This whole range from here to here, it's about like 46 pips. And then this one over here got filled. Like 15.2 pips. And not much of the range left. About like, what, 13.5? Down towards that zone. But that was kind of like the target for pound yen on the way down. Was to fill the spaces up here. It says like the same idea as what happened on gold this morning. You had the first sell-off. Remember the first sell-off? And then you had the secondary sell-off. So same thing like happened right over here. First sell-off. Secondary sell-off. Fill that range. See this? Range and range. And now we're looking at this next zone over here. Let's see if price can start dipping below there. But the funny thing is, because we all think like gold should be moving up bullish, get past that 4-hour resistance up over here, it would be counterintuitive to like take a sell, because it's such a huge retracement that it has potential to do. Like 154 pips below support. The ideal situation for gold if it wants to move up would be for it to respect these lows and then just break above like this. But if you kind of like outsmart the market, you're thinking maybe it breaks below here and then moves up and then continues to move up. That's just a variable. But I think when you're looking at PA, like in a way that's without all that manipulation and all that extra guessing, we should just respect that support formed and then just continue to move up bullish. But if something like that happens, then you're going to see in hindsight, you can say, okay, that looks like the manipulation. You got a little accumulation, break below support, manipulate some orders in here, and then to move up bullish. But damn, since the London open here, what happened? We only had this one push from down here. Small little accumulation play from all the way down here, London open. And then we just ranged. Range of danger. Let's see what the owlies are doing. Owlie tap resistance. That 4-hour zone is going to give us a hard time. That's like a huge supply area right over there. Honestly, the way the market's looking right now, those sells are the only thing that look appetizing at this point. Maybe resistance level from here to here. Got about like 33 pips. At least you formed some kind of a resistance. Smaller range in between from here to here. So those are the kind of key zones you're looking at. But, you know, it depends on how the 5 even approaches this level, because the 5 could just come and then mop this area up like this on one candlestick. But if it gradually comes up there, even creates some kind of a support, such as this, then get the next candlestick, create a support, close above, it look quite interesting. Like a decent close like this for price to fill that area up. Opposite direction. Price come down. Break below support. Soon. Break the lows. Continue to sell off. Fill that range. Yeah, those are the two scenarios with a consolidating market. Sup, Sketch? Analysis posted on Discord. Alright, so gold 15-minute. Breach of 15-minute FVG. Probably needs to breach to go higher. Plus there's an order block overlapping. So you're expecting price to come down first and then move up bullish. Alright. Yeah, I mean, all these orders are going to get distributed somewhere. Look at this beautiful sideways movement right here. Once this thing starts to break, its gold should be off to the races. See candlesticks are breaking up like this. Yeah, beautiful range on the left-hand side there too. If you got like a line graph, it's just going to look like this. Price came down and then this is how your line graph is going to look like. Little crash, little wave crashed, accumulate, 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 distribute again. Because that's kind of what you want, right? When you look for a trade, you kind of want to catch this. And ideally just a clean distribution without giving you much of a headache. So that's the whole idea here. That's what we're trying to do. So I'm trying to do. But you see, it's still holding this level. It could just accumulate here like a mini accumulation and then break from that zone. Because it could be accumulating here so it can get through this level. Get through that level and then you're going to have like pretty good bomba clout. Can you help to check if this strategy is good? Here are both 5 and 1 minute chart on gold. Like nice range on the left hand side. Price seems not to break below. Price show exhaustion. And then break of highs to keep moving up. Yeah, this is that same trade that was taken early on by Luke. Price first faked out at the top, then take out the buyers. I think this was a good trade. You see this entry over here? It makes a lot more sense because of the way the structure is forming a little bit nicer. So if that was the idea of the trade, then yeah, you're expecting a distribution from that zone. So I would say pretty good read on price over here. You also got those confluences, that inverted left shoulder, head, right shoulder, volume. We got nice little SMAs going on here too. Look at that nice, beautiful 8 SMA confluence. You got the SMA crossover. You got that 8 cross to 50 as a volume awareness tool. Then enter once price break the previous candle high. Excellent. $150K funded. Let's go. See that? Money is never the issue. Money is the least of your concerns when it comes to trading. So don't even like spend any energy worrying about the size of your account. That's the least of your worries. Trust me. That's what's so beautiful about this industry. So you got to enjoy those luxuries. You can't stress yourself on luxuries. I think I stressed myself too much on that account thing in my first year of trading. Way too much. Because we all got like our own demons that we battle with. And, you know, if you want to get some feedback on some of your demons, you can write us a message over here. We can give you some feedback. Yeah, you're not going to get judged. Just, you know, just throw it out there. That's another thing that I never used to do. I never used to post or ask questions inside groups. And whenever I did, it was with too much pressure on myself where it's like you're already being scared about getting judged. You know, just throw it out there. Say whatever it is that you want to say. What's going on? You already made profit? Yeah, I'm already up for the day. Looking for my second trade of the day here. Throw it out into the world. Write it down. You know, some cultures like to like write things down on a piece of paper and then throw it into a bonfire or something like that. So you just got to get it out sometimes. Whatever you're struggling with, don't struggle with it alone. You know, you're part of this really awesome community over here. You know, you can share your feedback. You know, like you see, Noni said something here the other day that, you know, is having a hard time. He's gonna take a break so he can fix on some issues that he was pushing to the side for a while. And you know, like once you just get it out, I think it feels pretty good. You know where stress comes from? Stress comes from not doing something. So a lot of you maybe think you're just stressed, but the truth is you're just stressed from not doing anything. When you get things done during a day, you stress less. The number one reason of stress is just not doing it. You know, like if you want to work out or you want to get something done, you're stressing because you're just not doing it. But once you do it, you feel a lot better. That's where real stress comes from. Gonna feel so much better once you get it out and do it. Taking a break is essential. Yeah. I think life is all a game of who breaks first, right? It's like some people, man, they really need those breaks. They really need those breaks. I try and see how can I get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like for me, it's not about the break. It's about like, how can you optimize this thing so you don't need a break? So that you do, because you know what happens with breaks is burning out. So if you feel like you want a break or you need a break, that also means that there's something you're doing that's going to lead to you burning out. So even if you start like a company, you start a business, sure, you can do everything all at once and you wouldn't have time for your family and kids, and you're going to feel like overwhelmed and you're going to burn out. Or you can structure your business in a way where you can keep it going, but you don't need a break per se. So that's the way I look at breaks. It's like, man, if I really need a break, that means that I'm at risk of potentially burning out somewhere. So I need to see, how can I make this more sustainable? And that's why the way I trade is so basic as well. You know, because I've already preempted a lot of these things. That comes with over-analyzing, with trying to outsmart the market. So it's so simple. And you know, the thing is, people don't like simple. When people see simple, it's not as it doesn't feel as professional. And I also started like that. I wanted the most complicated it can get, because that for me felt more real. You know, so you know, people don't really like simple when it comes to trading. What do you think about getting into a sell if it sets up consolidation out? No, I'm not going to get into a sell. I wanted to see price trend. I think we need to fill the range below before pushing up. Yeah, but there's definitely going to be a move, or probability of a move. You see candles just closed below support, creating a top wick over here. Nice little top wick being formed. Re-break of the lows. And then, you know, we should see price continue moving down. Re-break these lows over here with volume. Especially after creating such a healthy top wick like that. I would not be surprised to see this thing just re-break the lows. And then continue to fill this range right over there. How can we get your SMAs, mister? You can download in the description box. That's where you can get. Literally, like, it's in the description box. You can get the SMA. If you come onto my Discord, it's literally right here. You can get the SMA. This is a journal. This is the indicator. And then this is SMA. You see SMA indicator. It's here. It's on the description box. Can I enter now with a sell? I mean, if you want to, at the break of these lows, there's going to be a probability of a sell. I see it. It looks quite decent to me. I'm just not going to take it because that's not what I came onto the chart looking for. Maybe if we were trending down heavy and the daily was bearish, I would take the sell. But I do see the probability of this thing playing out once it breaks these highs, especially after creating a top wick like this and candlesticks just closed below support. You also got a new hourly candlestick that's still fresh. If you think about it, if there's going to be a move, the move has to come out of this kind of like area, correct? Because you haven't yet seen a distribution. The move is coming out of this area. This has been the push. So you haven't seen this happen yet here on the left hand side. So that's what you're assuming this is going to be when that candlestick here reflips and breaks those lows, to do the same thing right here. Because you see, you got to see what part of the cycle are you in. Are you in a point A or are you in a point B? So you are currently at a point A, so you haven't had any kind of move yet. When the hourly breaks below the previous hourly, then there's a probability of going down. See that hourly wick? Yeah, exactly. It's just right here by that previous hourly lows. So at least you got the previous hourly lows as well as confluence kind of lining up there. Let's see, you might get thrown a curveball and price is going to close bullish in the next 2 minutes or back into the range. What do you say would make it push bullish? If we can get above like 42.66 over here, then I think, you know, price can move up. Why do traders cry on social media? I never understood that. Sometimes I think what trading has done to me as a person, it's made me very stoic. Seeing a trend of people crying on social media. Probably doing it for views. Why must you cry? I mean, like, I feel like the more you think about it as almost like a robot mentality, the more you get the results that you want, right? Like, you mustn't ever let the market dictate to you how you should feel on a certain day. Correct? And you should already have preemptive warfare measures in place that your bad days are not going to be ever as bad. And your good days, you know, maybe your good days can be really good, but you want to keep your bad days as controlled as possible. You know, like I think on a bad day, maybe maximum like 3%, negative 3% is acceptable. Hey, what's up, Diego? And then the rest of it is just like, because the market doesn't know, man. Like, it doesn't know. It's not going out. It's not going against you. It has nothing against you. It just doesn't know. So it's like your job is to navigate the market, navigate the waters. If you see like some losses starting to roll in, how can you reduce those losses? You know, should be your next question. Or how can you manage that so you're not putting yourself at risk too much in the market? Maybe you have to trade less or something like that. Because it's like an animal. When I approach the market, I think like as if I'm approaching like an animal, because it doesn't know any better. It's not necessarily going out for you. And sometimes you feel like it's going against you, but it doesn't know any better. It's just doing what it has to do. So you just kind of have to navigate that. Like, put the emotional burden off your shoulders and give it to the market. Let it deal with all of that. You know, when it has its bad days, let it have its bad days. And then you just got to get good at sitting on your hands. Like you see, for me, I've already done that. I've already accepted I've missed this move that's coming down over here. So I'll put that burden onto the market until it's, you know, something that I really want to take, that I feel good about. How did you out trading view tools on the search bar? You just got to favorite them. So, you know, there's a like a little star over here. So once you start to favorite them, it should come onto the toolbar. We can all cry together. Cry tears of joy. Yes. Those are the only tears that we're going to cry. Tears of joy. Like literally, the first thing I saw on my Instagram was a YouTuber. I saw a trader crying because of a bad trading day. Where are my whips? Here are my whips. Can't hear it on Discord. Discord has its own kind of soundboards here. Probably really loud. Yeah, I just played one. I think it's... Can you guys hear the soundboard on Discord? All I know is if I turn on the audio on Discord, just like on Zoom, it's pretty loud. No, I don't think you can hear it. Yeah, I'm streaming on Discord as well. Discord is like 50 millisecond latency. That's how little latency there is in Discord. 50 milliseconds. On YouTube, I think it's about maybe like, you know, 5-10 seconds. The quack is the best Discord sound. Gotta be a sitting duck. This is the best one for my jokes on YouTube. I don't know if you guys can hear it. All right, so you got like 36 seconds for candlestick here to close a... Looks like now it's going to give like a shotgun. This is more like a break and a retest. It seems that it was small break and retest, push like 18. This is actually a move that I wanted to catch sometime last week, but the push was so fast I couldn't catch it. It literally did like, I think 25 pips in like a minute or 30 pips. But it's like a similar situation like this. It was like where candlestick breaks below support. You see that break? Break, retest, and break of the lows. That's a break and a retest. When it breaks below support, creates a support, and then the next candle breaks the previous lows area like this. So it's trying to move down right now. Definitely there's a bunch of room over here because you're going to look back at it. Let's just say this played out, right? If this plays out, you're just going to look back at it in hindsight and say, okay, you know, that kind of made sense. Over here, when you saw price did all of this PA, when it created all this PA right there, you're going to look back at it and say, you know what, that kind of made sense. So the more you see that happen, you eventually get comfortable with executing on certain ideas. Correct? Similar thing that happened over here to fill this area. It's a pre-London trade. If you came in during Asia, looks like you could have gotten away with a small scalp as it pushed here about 25 pips. But if you're looking for the full move, it looks like it played out during Asia. Pre-London, my bad. Pre-London. So essentially where we're currently sitting at right now is where we're sitting at here in pre-London. It's more or less the same thing. So you're going to look back and in hindsight it plays out and be like, okay, you know, that made sense. So that's all you're thinking about trades, just in terms of like probabilities, right? Because you've got your setup, you know what you're looking for. Now it's all about like, how can I execute on that idea consistently in a way that I feel comfortable and good about such a trade? And because that's going to remain the same, right? Ideally, your setup should somewhat relatively look the same. The only thing is the context is going to change. By context, I mean the time and whatever sort of price action indicators that you're going to have, whether it's liquidity grab, confluence, SMAs, it's just slight context changes. But it should be, relatively speaking, the same idea. You know, same idea here, same idea as our accumulation break here, onto the downside, from here to move up, that some people in the Discord took. Concept should remain the same. Context is always shifting. And the context is what makes like a really good trade from like a trade you're just following rules. Get them ducks in a row. I'm doing so bad since Friday, Vic. Any idea how that comes? I'm not sure. You know, like everybody got their own journey. So I don't know how long you've been trading for or what you're struggling with in specific. Is it because maybe you took too many trades? Maybe you over-risked? Most of the time, the two culprits for a lot of people. Maybe you're not having confidence anymore. You got a confidence hit over there. And, you know, sometimes the worst thing that can happen to a trader is a confidence hit. Once you get a confidence hit, damn, that's like you see these moves, but you don't execute and then they play out. Then you end up taking always the move that doesn't play out. That's what happens now with a confidence hit. Unsure. You're uncertain now. You don't trust it anymore. You know, you're like, that's not a really good place to be. So I'll just say, just be a little bit more fluid. All right. So you know what happens like when things get tough, also like in the real world, just find a way to relax. Stop trying to fight these feelings of trying to control everything. Like just find a way to relax and roll with the punches. And usually, you know, that's like the best advice I can give in most situations. So you gotta like befriend the hard time that you're having right now. Maybe there's a lesson in there that the universe is trying to teach you. So you're not gonna see that lesson if you don't relax. You have to relax, because you know sometimes even when you look at professional fighters, if you get put in like a very uncomfortable hold of sorts, you know, sometimes it helps to relax a bit so you can think of a proper way to get out of such a situation. You know, you gotta free your mind. Free, and I like the word free dome. If you actually think about it, free dome, like the dome on your head, you gotta free it. That's where freedom comes from. Free dome. So if you're spending too much time worrying about certain things, you know, how can you be free? How can you free yourself? It's a skill. It's a skill on its own to learn, and I think in trading, you're just gonna have to have more experience to get to the point to realize that sometimes, you know, you can't get the outcomes that you want, but you're gonna get the outcomes that you're gonna need. So free the dome. I think I have a confidence hit. Yeah, let's free the dome. Because confidence also comes with ego. So you also got an ego hit. So just let it go. Start again. It's a new day. Just think of it as a new day. Don't think about your previous trades. This is a brand new day. So today you get to choose. Do you want to be the version of yourself who follows rules, is disciplined, and controls the outcomes, and visualize yourself already at that person who can control emotions and control, like, you know, how the day is going to go for them? It's a new day. You don't have to worry about yesterday's problems here on the charts. It's a new day, buddy. Because the moment you start to take these previous losses into a new week or a new day, you're already starting off on a bad foot. You know, it's kind of like roll with the punches, allow the clusters of good trades to naturally happen, and the clusters of bad trades to naturally happen as well. See this? Look at this, man. Look at this shitty price action I had last month. And this was the beginning of the month. 3 back-to-back losses, 1 win, and then 2 back-to-back losses. The difference between me and somebody else is I know the outcome of just repetitive actions over time. But somebody else in this same scenario would have a different perspective on reality. So it's more of a philosophical question than it is to do much with what you might be doing right or wrong. You know, like Einstein, when Einstein started doing drugs, I'm not saying it's good to do drugs, but I'm just saying sometimes you need a bit of freedom to see things from different angles, especially as a scientist. You know, you got to be very open to different side of outcomes. And Einstein and people like Nicholas Tesla, and you know, they all experimented with psychedelics and these things. So it allows your mind to think a bit differently. You know, sometimes throughout a whole day, I could be trying to figure something out. But at the end of the day, if I give myself, and I don't drink a lot, I rarely drink because I don't like the way alcohol makes you feel like dry. It literally dehydrates you. It's not a good feeling. The body does not like those toxins. But sometimes when I have, like, let's say a beer at the end of the day, man, I get ideas I couldn't have being so stuck up throughout the whole day. And it all just comes from also just letting go. I'm not saying you have to do those things because you can already do that on a day-to-day basis without those substances, right? But it's just to drive a point across that how important that is. I say broke below support over here, consolidating. This is looking pretty good as a reversal confirmation play. Little buy entry at the break of those highs if it breaks those highs. Like this. Or if it respects the consolidation, breaks below those lows, little sell continuation, because it's already tested this area multiple times and now it's just consolidating within that region. So, you know, if it breaks either above structure or below structure, then it should, technically speaking, have a move based off previous sample sizing. Man, this would be perfect. Like if the daily was up bullish right now and we got the signal over here, beautiful trade. Also, for the sells, it looked decent. Now it's creating like some kind of a rejection over here. You got multiple rejection wicks. Break these lows, keep moving down. A nice little 15-minute SMA holding price. 30 minutes holding. The hourly, what'd you get? 30, 15. Looks like it's kind of like holding on the higher time frame SMAs for a bullish move. 15-minute SMAs is kind of stuck in between. See, it's consolidating. We're right in between the SMAs here too. I'm gonna sell now from a... Oh, nice. 8 SMA just caught up. Little kiss of death on this. Potentially. It hasn't created a top wick though. Like maybe tap that 8 SMA. When my confidence is low, I backtest until I can hit a target in a month. Oh, nice. Yeah, me too. Definitely, like when you backtest and then you can hit some targets, and it really does make you feel good again. It makes you feel like your strategy actually works. You know, because if you can backtest it, what's to say that you can't foretest it? What's the difference? Because you're just backtesting what already happened. So it's just a sign for you to just keep going, keep pushing in that general direction, whatever concepts you're trading. think it's pretty nice. It is. Or like even when I foretest, you know, even like when I'm just sitting on the chart, what I like to do is even if I'm not taking the trade, I just see if it plays out. You know, if it's playing out, then I feel like some kind of a confidence. So when my time approaches to take a trade, I also feel good because, you know, I've just been paper trading the other moves. And I think that's one of the advantages of trading on the 1 minute time frame is you get the luxury to do that. See, it's breaking above these highs now. Let's see if it distributes up. And you just monitor. You just monitor your trades play out back to back. You know, when you trade in 1 minute, you get to see these things happen over and over again, like quite fast. So, you know, you just watch and you see, okay, interesting. We've broken the highs. This is what I think price should do. And you just wait. You just watch it. No emotions attached. And you kind of pull yourself out from that situation where it's like, oh, now I need to cash this move, or you feel bad about the move. Because taking the position for me is not like the fun part. The fun part is just watching them play out. Yeah, I just watch them play out. And then when it's time to come take my trade, win or loss, it's like I've seen them playing out so often that I'm not even worried about that, because I know in longevity, in the long run, I will come out on top because my concepts hold some kind of a value. You know, there's some kind of a reaction that I get from them. So I'm going to keep putting up my shield like in Battlefield and keep doing that. It doesn't matter. Some games on Battlefield, like, you know, some games you get good games and that strategy. It's literally the same thing with everything else in life. Like some games you're going to have like a really good game, right? And I'm also saying with professional players. Sometimes I have like these amazing games. And then some other times they have like these very average looking games. And like, wow, this guy's a professional gamer. He just had a game that anybody would play this amount of kills or like this amount of points. But then in other games, he has like amazing games. But nothing changes. He's still doing the same thing that he does. You're going to see like trading, reflection of everything else that's in life the same way. So, you know, that's for me. I enjoy watching, just like I enjoy watching other people play. This is my version of watching other people play. Gold will definitely fill the gap and after will push up. So I took a minute 300 pips. Now before it... Oh, damn. This thing's pulled back again. Volume coming. Let's see. Let's see if we can actually respect the zone. Pull back, retest, and then keep moving up. How much did it peak there? Oh, not even like 16 pips. It's still not finished. Technically speaking, this thing is still not finished. I only did about like, what, 14.6? If you look carefully at the chart, you will see the logic. $10 pips is nothing these days. Yeah, that's nothing. It's nothing. Candle there's closed. New 5-minute open. That 5-minute could rip down hard. You don't want to break even because it's already created like a bottom wick. And it's pushing and re-breaking the highs. But how many pips did it do? At least 16. Oh, wow. Look at that. It's up now 30 pips. So that's what I mean. It's just going to watch the trades. You're going to watch the trades and you're going to like make sense. Because, you know, even if you're not in the trade, when you have a candlestick go like this red, it makes you feel a certain way. So you can like objectively study and look at that feeling as it crosses you. You know, so that's how you kind of look at trades as well. Because as a human, you're always going to have like fear is there to protect you from doing dumb shit. That's why we naturally always going to feel fear as humans. Doesn't matter who you are. Everybody feels afraid. Public speaking, whatever it might be that looks so confident doing, There's some element of fear that comes in sometimes. You know, so your job is just to intellectually look at that feeling and be emotionally intelligent about the, you know, types of decisions that you're going to make in the market. Because for me, this is my setup. I see this as a very viable setup over here, you know? So I'm always thinking like, if I actually took this trade, how would I be reacting on such a drawdown like this? Because your body is going to say one thing, but your mind is going to say something else. So that's what we call emotional intelligence. And that's kind of what you get to do as well when you're paper trading. You get that, you still get that same experience. So it's like you're sharpening the sword, right? Which is your mental. Because if I took one trade today, and I'm going to take another trade, in the meantime, I might as well just sharpen my sword. Imagine yourself at a medieval times and you're about to go and fight somebody, but the fight is not until later on. What are you doing in between then? Maybe you're watching the fights that are going on currently and you're busy sharpening your sword. You're getting ready for your turn. You're not sitting there and worrying about things. You're watching the other fighters while you're sharpening your own sword and saying, okay, so this guy has this certain move. I see this guy moves like that and that guy moves like this. So you're just watching, you know, you're watching and you're getting yourself ready. So when it's time, you're going to be ready to execute. What is this? I'm going to buy. Good for me. Ooh, do we feel it all the way? Yeah, it looks like we did. Nice one. Just scalped. What'd you scalp? Like 34? That's the idea. You know, if price is going to move somewhere, I put my trust in the market. So if it breaks above the highs, it should move up. If it breaks below the lows, it should move down at a point like this. But what it is that we're doing here is we were identifying where's the point A. Correct? So where's the probability? Because a lot of the time, some of you can't even do this part. You don't even know how to even identify the point A. You know, that's a different set of challenges than somebody who already knows how to identify the point A. So, you know, like you identify the point A, then you're thinking, okay, where's the point B going to be? How's the distribution? Because this is what we talk about. How we want to see price move, correct? Whenever we have moves like this, that's why I said. And this is a fractal because when I gave that example, I also gave it in terms of the 5-minute when I was drawing this area here out and showing you this and the difference. That's what I was drawing. But you see, markets move fractally, and on the intra, like the lower time frames, there are always like these hidden opportunities. But the concept is the same. Right? You're trying to catch that same extension. Same one that happened here in the beginning of the stream. Boom. Did we have anything else? You're expecting it here, but it didn't follow through. That one peaked here for about like 21 pips, but it didn't follow through and it came down back into the gulag. Range. One here. Look at this. Boom. Extension. That's what you're trying to catch. Point A, point B. That was another one. And then pulled up, took out these previous sellers over here. The greedy ones. Market came, took them out, and then continued to move down like this. Accumulated. Gave another distribution with some SMA confluence. Got a nice, beautiful SMAs on that breakout there. Is it a confluence now? Let's see this. You're gonna use an order flow and RSI divergence, meaning at this point that we're taking control, so the move up had better chance of playing out. I trade PA by this way I know here I want my direction, and the fake out also back tested during the weekend. Oh, nice. Free the dome. Next range is looking to mop up here. So one we drew from previously about like 34 pips. It had a small one here too. From here to here. And then there's the next one for price to keep moving up. So if you like leaving a runner, it's the same thing that we gave the example of earlier on the session of how you can anticipate these running moves. So we spoke about one from here to here and then from here to here. Right? It's the same idea as from here to here and then from here to here. Are we together, guys? I don't know if we're together. You know, you guys got to leave some engagement. Are we together or it's still sounding confusing? I just got 34 pips. Nice one, nice one. We in unison. That's what I like to hear. We're together, we're together. Good stuff, good stuff. See, range has been filled now. It is profit taking here at resistance. All right, guys. Awesome session today. Awesome session. But I'm going to head out here. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care, take care. Let's get a good week up ahead. Adios.
No time for this slip, homie. Now we bout to dip.